Okay, let's take a closer look at the part to the left of the audio. This is called the track header in the edit window. And just look at the parts of it. Here you can see the track name, and this name is taken from the loop that's on the track. It's kind of long, but that's just the way it is. We have the track record enable button. If I wanted to record onto this track, this is how I would let Pro Tools know that that's the track I want to record onto. Wouldn't let me press it now because there's no input assigned to it, but just so you know it's there. If you have a MIDI track with a MIDI instrument or an instrument track, this is how you let Pro Tools know you want to record onto that track. We have an input monitoring button. It's kind of a complicated concept for a beginner, but we'll get into it later. The solo and mute buttons are very important. If I press solo, then that's the only thing I'm going to hear in the session. And I can solo multiple tracks and then I'll hear those two together, but nothing else. Notice that when I solo a track, the rest of these, the mute button turns kind of this burnt orange. That's called being soft muted. I'm not intentionally muting it like I am right here, where it's bright orange, but it's muted because something else is soloed. So the mute button does what it says. It mutes the track. You don't hear this track. Down here we have some boxes that we'll take a look at in depth in later videos. The track view selector, and you can view all of these different things on the track. The automation mode selector, the voice selector. If you want to freeze a track so you can temporarily free up some processing resources, that's here. Here is your time-based selector and your elastic audio. This one's actually kind of important. If I click on this little warp marker icon, you can see the different elastic audio algorithms available, and these will be different depending on your different version of Pro Tools, whatever you have. This is the ultimate version, so we have all of them. On the side here, you have the track size selector, and you can also get to that by clicking on this ruler over here, same thing. We have the automation show and hide lanes button here, and we'll go over automation later. We have the track meter, so that if I solo this and play this track, you can see the meter going there. You don't have to solo it. I just didn't want to play the whole thing. You know, it's a lot of volume. Over here we have our inserts and our sends, which may or may not be available to see right away, and I'll show you how to make sure these are seen. And you have your input and your output section, and that includes your volume fader, which if I click, this little fader pops up, and your pan controls, and we'll talk about panning in a later video. We have some other controls over here. This is the target track for markers. This is a fairly new feature in Pro Tools, track-based markers, so we'll go over those in a later video. But this is the track header section. If I hit Command equals and go to the mix window, you can see that there's a similar track header here. We have inserts and sends, the I/O, the automation mode. We also have a group selector. We have the pan knobs, and instead of a volume pop-up fader, we have a built-in dedicated fader for each channel strip. And we have those same four buttons, the input monitoring, record arm, solo, and mute. And down here we have the track name, as well as a voice selector and this icon indicating that it is in fact an audio track.